Evil doesn't always wear a mask or come with a warning label. Sometimes, it smiles at you, compliments you, pretends to be your friend. It knows how to blend in, how to hide in plain sight. The most dangerous people in your life aren't always the ones who shout, scream, or hit. Often, they're the ones who smile while slowly draining your energy, dignity, and peace. You've felt it before. That gut feeling. The subtle shift in the atmosphere when certain people enter the room. You can't explain it, but your soul recognizes it. In this video, we're going to expose them. The manipulators. The liars. The charmers with venom underneath. These are the 10 unmistakable signs of truly evil people, not misguided, not wounded, not difficult, but evil. If you miss these signs, you will suffer. But if you see them clearly, you gain the one thing that evil fears most, awareness. Let's begin. Sign 1, they mirror your dreams while silently sabotaging them. Evil people rarely show their malice openly. Their power lies in subtlety. In the beginning, they mirror your energy. They pretend to be interested in what you love. They support your goals. They validate your desires. But what they're really doing is scanning for leverage, figuring out how to position themselves in your mind as an ally, all while plotting to quietly erode your momentum from behind the scenes. They do this by planting small doubts, redirecting your focus, or creating emotional turmoil just when you're about to make progress. They don't want to outright stop you, they want to slowly weaken you, so you never realize they were the source of your failure. It often looks like, are you sure that's really your passion? You're so talented, but that industry is really competitive. Just be realistic. I support you, but I don't think now is the right time. On the surface, these words seem rational, protective, even caring. But evil doesn't attack directly, it whispers. It wraps itself in false concern. This form of sabotage is psychologically potent because it uses your own dreams against you. An evil person doesn't destroy your ambition with a hammer, they use a scalpel. Precise, controlled doubt injected slowly until your own mind turns on itself. The Stoic response, Marcus Aurelius warned, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you feel discouraged after sharing your vision with someone, examine their pattern. Do you always feel smaller, more doubtful, or confused after speaking with them? Do they support you when you win, or do they go silent? This isn't about paranoia, it's about discernment. Evil hides in encouragement that weakens, not strengthens. In fake applause that leads to inner collapse. Watch what happens after they leave the room. That's where the truth lives. And always remember, someone who mirrors your passion but fuels your self-doubt is not your ally. They're your executioner with a smile. Sign 2, they weaponize guilt to control you. Evil people don't rely on brute force to control you. They use something far more effective, guilt. Guilt is a powerful psychological lever. When someone can make you feel guilty, they don't need to threaten or scream. They just have to look disappointed. Withdraw affection. Make a passive-aggressive comment. And suddenly, you're on the defensive, explaining yourself, apologizing, trying to make it right. This is not healthy accountability. This is emotional blackmail. The evil person constructs a world where your conscience is turned against you. They say things like, after all I've done for you, this is how you treat me. I guess I just care more than you do. If you really loved me, you wouldn't have to think twice. Over time, you begin to associate your independence, your boundaries, and your needs with hurting them. And that's exactly what they want. By weaponizing guilt, they create an invisible leash around your choices. You start adjusting your behavior not because it's right, but because you're trying to avoid emotional punishment. This isn't love. It's control disguised as moral obligation. Why it works. Most good-hearted people are wired to avoid causing harm. Evil people know this. They exploit it. They pretend to be wounded by your strength, offended by your self-respect, or betrayed by your growth. They reverse the roles so you feel like the villain every time you try to honor yourself. Psychological insight. Dr. George Simon, author of In Sheep's Clothing, describes this behavior as covert aggression, tactics that manipulate others while keeping the manipulator's hands clean. The goal is domination through emotional pressure. The Stoic counterattack. Epictetus reminds us, no man is free who is not master of himself. To protect yourself, you must become aware of when guilt is being used, not earned. Real guilt leads to reflection and repair. Manufactured guilt leads to obedience and silence. Ask yourself, do I feel guilty because I did wrong, or because they want me to feel wrong? Does this person allow me to grow, or do they punish me for evolving? Is guilt becoming a chain around my neck, or a compass pointing toward integrity? When guilt is used as a leash, cut it. With clarity. With confidence. With the understanding that someone who loves you will never use your empathy against you. Because guilt used to guide is sacred. But guilt used to enslave is evil. Sign 3, they charm publicly, but degrade privately. In public, they're all smiles, praising you, laughing with you, acting supportive. But behind closed doors, they insult, criticize, and belittle. They maintain a perfect image for others while breaking you down in silence. Public, I'm so lucky to have you. Private, you're a burden I have to carry. This duality is calculated. It isolates you. You become confused. Others think they're kind, so you start thinking you must be the problem. That's how they win. Stoic wisdom, if someone treats you differently depending on who's watching, their public kindness is just a mask. Believe the private version. That's who they really are. Sign 4, they never apologize, only shift blame. Evil people refuse accountability. To them, saying, I was wrong, is unacceptable. Instead, they twist the story until you're the one who ends up apologizing. I only yelled because you were being disrespectful. You're too sensitive. Why do you always assume the worst? They deflect guilt, distort truth, and protect their ego at your expense. Over time, you begin to second-guess your own emotions. Stoic wisdom, true strength lies in owning your mistakes. Those who never admit fault are not strong, they are weak men hiding behind arrogance. Sign 5, they isolate you from your strength. They subtly separate you from your friends, your passions, and your power. They criticize your mentors, your ambitions, even your hobbies. Your friends don't care about you like I do. You've changed since you started that self-help stuff. You're always at the gym, what about us? It starts slow. Then one day, you realize you've lost your support system, and they're the only one left. That's by design. Stoic wisdom, Epictetus reminds us, no man is free who is not master of himself. If someone is separating you from your inner strength, they are not your partner. They are your captor. Sign 6, they exploit empathy as a weakness. Evil people don't lack emotional intelligence, they weaponize it. They study you. They learn what makes you kind, generous, forgiving. And then they use it against you. They exploit your compassion to escape accountability. Your patience becomes their playground. Your forgiveness becomes their license to repeat the same betrayals, over and over. You'll hear, I've just been under a lot of stress, can't you understand that? No one else believes in me the way you do. You're the only person who hasn't given up on me. It sounds like vulnerability. But it's a trap. Because if you walk away, they make you feel like a villain for abandoning someone in pain. But if you stay, they keep draining you. The cycle of exploitation. They break your trust, apologize just enough to keep you hooked, then repeat. Over and over. Because they know your empathy will keep you in the loop. Psychological insight. This is trauma bonding. It's the process of using intermittent kindness and emotional intensity to create dependency. The Stoic safeguard. True compassion has boundaries. Seneca wrote, "He who is cruel to himself is cruel to others." Being endlessly empathetic to someone who abuses your trust is not noble. It's self-betrayal. You must learn to love from a distance when closeness becomes poison. Real empathy protects truth. False empathy enables evil. Sign 7, they lie even when they don't have to. Evil people don't just lie to protect themselves. They lie to confuse you. To control the narrative. To assert dominance over reality itself. Sometimes, the lie is unnecessary. There's no benefit. No danger. They do it just to see if they can get away with it. That's how you know you're not dealing with carelessness, you're dealing with pathology. They lie about where they were, what they said, what they meant, even when the truth would serve them better. Why? Because they don't want connection. They want control. The psychological root. These people operate with what psychologists call antisocial traits, a lack of guilt, empathy, or accountability. They lie because truth represents equality. And they want supremacy. The damage. It isn't the lie itself that hurts most. It's the mental erosion that follows. You start questioning your memory. You stop trusting your instincts. You feel like you're going insane. Jungian insight. Jung said, "The lie is a mask behind which evil hides." To lie unnecessarily is to gaslight the universe. It's an act of spiritual violence. The Stoic response. Truth is not just a virtue, it's a weapon against madness. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it, if it is not true, do not say it." When you see a pattern of lies with no purpose, walk away. Not because you're offended, but because your sanity depends on it. Sign 8, they project their darkness onto you. One of the oldest tricks of evil is projection. They accuse you of the very things they're doing. If they lie, they call you dishonest. If they manipulate, they say you're the one being controlling. If they cheat, they obsess over your loyalty. Why? Because projection does two things. It deflects attention away from their guilt. It puts you on the defensive. Now you're explaining yourself instead of observing them. You're too busy proving your innocence to notice their guilt. Real example. You find them texting someone suspicious. Instead of explaining, they flip it. "Why are you always so insecure? Why don't you trust me? You probably just feel guilty about yourself." Psychological explanation. This is called DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. It's common in narcissists and abusers. Jung's warning. The things we repress in ourselves often emerge in what we accuse others of. But evil people take this further. They consciously project. It's not psychological defense. It's psychological warfare. The Stoic reminder. Never forget who you are because someone else distorted the mirror. As Epictetus taught, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. If you feel like you're constantly being blamed for things that don't match your behavior, take a step back. You're not the mirror. You're the target. Sign 9, they enjoy watching you suffer. This is one of the darkest truths, evil people can take pleasure in your pain. They may not say it directly. But you'll see it in their eyes when you're down. You'll notice it in their silence when you need support. Or in the slight smirk when you cry, stumble, or fail. They pretend to comfort you, but something in their energy feels wrong. Cold. Satisfied. Like your suffering confirms their superiority. Why? Because evil feeds on power imbalances. Your pain is their proof that they're in control. Signs they enjoy your suffering. They minimize your pain. They mock your dreams. They become mysteriously absent when you're hurting. They bring up your failures at the worst moments. Philosophical insight. Nietzsche wrote, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster." The person who delights in your pain is no longer just flawed, they are corrupted. This is the essence of evil. The Stoic shield. Protect your energy. Seneca said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." If someone seems energized by your misery, remove them. No explanation. Just distance. Because the man who smiles at your suffering is sharpening a knife with it. Sign 10, they drain you, but play the victim. The final sign is perhaps the most deceptive. Evil people don't just attack, they invert the narrative. They make you feel like the villain for protecting your peace. You start setting boundaries, and suddenly you're selfish. You express pain, and now you're toxic. You pull away, and they cry, sulk, and call you cold. They flip the roles so convincingly that you start doubting your right to self-respect. Their favorite lines. "I've done nothing but love you. I guess I'm just not enough for you. Everyone always leaves me, now you too." It's a performance. A last-ditch attempt to keep feeding off your energy. Because deep down, they know you're waking up. Why it works. Good people don't want to be cruel. Evil people use that against them. They make you feel responsible for their emotions. Their breakdowns. Their loneliness. But you are not responsible for anyone else's inability to grow. Jungian final word. In each of us there is another whom we do not know. Evil people refuse to meet their shadow. So they become it. Then call you the darkness. The final Stoic truth. You are not required to bleed for someone who cuts you and then cries about the mess. Conclusion. You now know the signs. Not just bad habits, but markers of true malice. Recognize them. Protect your peace. Guard your mind. And remember. Evil hides in charm, in victimhood, in smiles. But it always reveals itself in patterns. Trust the patterns. And never trade your soul for someone else's comfort. Be watchful. Be wise. Be free.